How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, Municipals? This is your boy Big C. I am alone, all by myself. I am doing a series that I'm going to start off with in Oregon. I'm also going to continue doing this in California and Washington as well. This is Big C's top 10 public courses. So, sorry for the raspy sounding voice. I don't know what happened. I kind of lost my voice over the last few days, but still wanted to get on here and make sure that we get you guys some content this week. So this is going to be a little bit different. I got nobody joining me. The stipulations on my top 10, it's literally, this is my favorite top 10 public courses. So one couple things that I created my own stipulations of is no resort courses. There's one on there. It's an RV resort course. So I'm basically my own rules that I'm making up on the spot is if it's got a hotel attached to it, it's not included in this. So, for me, it's more about just affordable public golf that's accessible to everybody, that has fun layout, can stretch out for most people of all abilities. If you're a +5 handicap all the way up to a 23, it's an accessible golf course that anybody can play and have fun and enjoy playing. So this is going to be Big C's top 10. Let's jump into it. So to kind of get started here, the course I'm going to start on, and this is in no particular order. This is just what, my top 10 courses, not first is favorite, none of that. This is just my favorite 10 courses in Oregon. There are, of course, some courses that I haven't been able to play. But I would say I've probably played close to 80% of the public accessible courses in Oregon. So, this is a pretty extensive list. So if you ever do come to Oregon, you live in Oregon, you haven't heard of any of these courses, I would definitely make an effort to go play them. They're all fantastic. I'm not going to say any of them are better than the next. They're just my style of golf, what I look for in a golf course. So, jumping right into it, we got Bar Run. So, if you've listened to the podcast, I'm not going to get super deep into some of these because I have done extensive podcasts and reviews on some of these courses. Bar Run is one of them. If you go back and listen to the podcast that I did about my Oregon trip that I did with some of the Municipal homies, you can kind of get an overview of Bar Run there. But just to kind of a refresher, Bar Run, it's a really cool, really awesome golf course that's smack dab in the middle of Central Oregon, or Central off of I-5, more on the west-hand side in Roseburg. It's built on a reclaimed sand gravel mines on the banks of the Umpqua River in Roseburg. It's picturesque. This course is very new to the landscape of golf in Oregon. It's only really existed for a couple years. Built by one of my Pacific Northwest architectural heroes, Dan Hickson. I think it's just by far one of, if you're going to put fun factor out of all of these courses that I'm reviewing, I would say Bar Run is top of the list when it comes to fun factor. It just gives you different looks on every hole, different views, different landscapes. It's just a really well-rounded designed course. They do need some time to get some grow-ins here. They're figuring out some drainage, agronomy issues there. But, with a new golf course that, was built on property that probably should have never had a course, those type of challenges will always come along. So when there is some heavy rain, they're getting some pooling. They're having some issues with some of the grass growing in, but the greens are impeccable. The actual course design is something you're probably not going to come across too often throughout the United States. It's just a very, very good course. And for $60 to $80 to play the course, it's depending if you're riding, walking, how you're going about it, it is a phenomenal golf course. Next course, and again, we've done some reviews on this. There's an episode on this that I did with Ashton, but this is going to be Stone Creek in Oregon City, just south of Portland. Rates to play Stone Creek is right between $35 and $70. Stone Creek is, and you guys all know my feelings on this man, is a Peter Jacobson, Jim Hardy design. There are a few holes out there. Everybody that plays Stone Creek, everybody that, is local and calls this their home track, know that 14, 15, 16 are not super great holes. But it's a incredibly well-maintained golf course. Number 9 might be one of my favorite holes in Oregon. You get beautiful, spectacular views of Mount Hood. It's built on 120 acres of land with old growth Douglas firs, lakes, a few wetlands kind of sprinkled in throughout it. And if you are not a bunker guy, I would stay away from this course. They have 43 bunkers across the entire course. But the superintendent, Richard Rosenberry, really puts in a lot of work to maintain this course year-round. It's probably one of the only courses that us in the Pacific Northwest will play 100% of the year. It drains exceptionally well. You're not going to get a bunch of bad lies when our conditions get really bad here. It's just a really well done course, and we hold it very dear to our heart in the Portland, Upper Oregon situation. But with this guy, you can go back and listen to multiple reviews we've done on this course throughout the span of us doing this podcast. So go back, listen to those guys. There's some other courses that I really want to spend some extra time on. So we're going to move on to my next guy. So another one, I'm kind of stacking the beginning to kind of just talk about the courses that I've already talked about a little bit in the past. And this is going to be Juniper in Redmond, Oregon, just north of Bend. Juniper opened in 2005. The new area of where Juniper is opened in 2005. Designed by John Horvath III. Very renowned architect. And so with that, I mean, Juniper, the way I kind of explain the landscape to people, it's if you took a mixture of some of the Bandon courses that you're going to play if you ever go to Bandon Resort and kind of plop it in the highlands, deserty area of Redmond, Bend area, that's what the course resembles. It's a amazing design. They held a 2017 Oregon Open. It's by far one of my top 3 courses in Oregon. I love Juniper. The cost to play is anywhere between $32 and $88 depending on the season that you go. If you're playing Twilight or you're playing right on a weekend or a holiday, it will kind of fluctuate a little bit there. But I think Juniper, by far, is one of my favorite courses in Oregon, if not one of my favorite courses ever. So I really, really love Juniper. They've been on Golf Digest Best Places to Play for multiple years. Best Municipal Golf Course, 2009, 2010. It was the host course from 2007 to 2010, and then took a little bit of break. And then 2013, they also hosted the Oregon Open. So it's well reviewed. People love it. The history behind it is pretty incredible. So I did an episode with JD, and go listen to that, because the actual history of the course, it moving locations because of certain circumstances, and had to literally restart over, but maintain the same name, membership, things like that transferred with them, was pretty cool history-wise. So if you want to get a little bit of history background on Juniper, go listen to the episode I did with JD, solely on, we did it on Juniper and Crooked River Ranch. Really fun episode to listen to, so I would definitely highly recommend going to listen to that. Now, a course that we haven't really talked about on the pod, this would be Centennial Golf Club down in Medford, Oregon. One of my favorite courses in Oregon. As you know, it's in my top 10. What I love about Centennial, it is a wide open track, great for all abilities. It can also tip way out to about 7,300 yards. So if you're a +6 handicap that hits it over 300 yards carry with driver, to your, to anybody that might struggle to carry it over 200, there's a tee box for everybody. There is a level for everyone to play this. Massive, large, expansive greens with massive bunkers. You're going to kind of see a running trend here. I really love John Fout courses. If you don't know who John Fout is, he was a PGA Tour player, winner of the 1977 U.S. Am. The guy knows how to build good golf courses, and he is from the Pacific Northwest, has built a absolute ton of courses out here, and a few of them will be on my list. It opened in 2006. It basically, the facility boasts, a well-rounded championship-style course. It could host massive amounts of tournaments if it wasn't in such a small town with small amenities, because the course definitely promotes the style of golf that a championship style tournament could be held. Like an LPGA event would be absolutely fantastic out here. You could even throw some Corn Ferry tournaments out here. It is really, really well executed, and hats off to John Fouts. Really put some work in here. Also, another course that if you don't like bunkers, you're not going to like this place. It has 73 bunkers throughout the entire course, and they're well strategically planned and placed. So there are definitely some times that you could have a little bit of trouble if you're not loving bunker play. But it's I would say, and this is something that Pax always talks about, it's a bit of an amphitheater style golf course. You've got mountains surrounding you. The course is actually not very undulating. It doesn't have a lot of elevation change, but there was enough land movement done to where there's a lot of elevated greens, slopes that are going to take your ball in certain ways. It's and it's always spectacular maintained. Like, the course is, I've played it 3 or 4 times now, and every time I play it, it's absolutely in phenomenal shape. So I have to give their agronomy team massive credit. It is spectacular. If you're driving up I-5 and you're on your way up to Portland or going to play anything, stop in Medford, play Centennial Golf Club. It's also one of my favorite logos in Oregon. I have to get some background on why they utilize a rose as the logo, but I love the script of Centennial on their logo. Really pretty rose as the back mark of it. It's awesome. All right, now leaning into a course that's near and dear to my heart. We are going to be hosting the Crab Shack, our Ryder Cup style tournament in Oregon here. This is Gerhardt Golf Links. There's so many things documented on Gerhardt that I won't get too crazy with it. If you really want to see an in-depth look on it, I really think that No Laying Up did a great job of showcasing it in their Tour Sauce Oregon series that they did. So I would definitely go and watch that if you want some really in-depth look on the course, what it's about. I think what's great about Gerhardt, it is a community. The people that live in the area have played this course forever. They've seen transformations of what it was originally to what it became throughout the 80s and 90s. And then when it was, redone back to its original state with all 90% of the trees taken out of the course to bring it back to its links style golf that it originated in. And that was done in 2013, finished in 2015. They got some help from John Strawn. He has worked with RTJ and a bunch of architectural firms. The guy has had his fingers in a lot of championship style courses. They had him come out and help consult on it. It's as close as you're going to get outside Abandoned Dunes to links, Irish-Scottish link style golf. It's so close to it that they actually are sisters to Cairn out in the UK. And Cairn is also a phenomenal golf course. And so if you're a member at Gerhardt and you're a member at Cairn, you are honorary members with each one of those courses. And so they've entangled themselves to be focusing on being a true link style golf course. It's just awesome. You can't beat it. It's half a mile, not even. It's walking distance to the Oregon coast. It's a destination for anybody in Oregon to go out to and play frequently. It claims that there's a lot of courses that claim this, but Gerhardt has some proof that they are the first course west of the Mississippi built in 1892 originally. So there's a lot of history and lineage when it comes to Gerhardt. They've hosted the Pub Links. They've hosted Oregon AMs. They've hosted a lot of different tournaments and things out there. And anybody that's born and raised in Oregon or is a golf fanatic has Gerhardt close to their heart and frequents Gerhardt pretty often. And Jason, the general manager out there, makes Gerhardt go from a 9.5 to an 11. He is phenomenal. He will always take care of you. His staff is incredible. There's a company in Oregon called McMenamins. They're famously known for restoring historic buildings into hotels and restaurants, and they have done that with the property out here, Gerhardt, which they run all food and beverage, including some minimal lodging that they have there as well. It's an awesome facility. So you got to check out Gerhardt, and I can't wait to host our tournament out there. Next, another, this one's a little tricky. So it's semi-public, but there's 2 courses on property. Each course is available to the public half of the month. The other course is just for members. And this would be the reserve. We've talked about the reserve on the pod. I'm not going to get too crazy into the reserve. What I love about it, it's the South course, which is my favorite, is a John Fouts design. It's more of your true Pacific Northwest golf course. It's going to resemble what most people see or want to see when they come to the Pacific Northwest. What John says about it is it's a traditional American layout with mature Oregon trees, naturally rolling terrain, and over 60 white sand bunkers, and that sand is all imported in from Idaho. And this was also the host of the Fred Meyer Challenge on the PGA, and the Geld Wen tradition. Both, there's a lot of people, a lot of professionals that have played this course and have very glowing reviews on this. Brad Faxon, when he went out there and shot a 62 at the Fred Meyer Challenge, he absolutely loved this golf course. And then the North course was designed by Bob Cupp. Completely polar opposites to the South course. The North course is going to be more of your open, I don't even like calling it link style. You guys know I call it prairie golf. It's got a lot more natural fescue, a lot less trees. It's not as tight of corridors. Much more open. Bob also designed Pumpkin Ridge, which is famously known for holding multiple U.S. amateurs, including the one Tiger Woods won. And so both courses are designed by two incredibly well-known architects that give different looks, different feels to anybody that steps out on this property. It's a phenomenal property. It's one of the places that anybody that comes to Portland, the Reserve and Stone Creek are my 2 go-to places to take anybody to experience. If they've got one day to play golf in the area, those are the 2 that I consider are the standout gems of Portland. And so the next one, this is what I consider my favorite golf course in Oregon, Tokatee. So Tokatee is out in Mackenzie Bridge, Oregon. It's kind of in between Eugene and Bend. There's not much else out there. It's kind of got a really cool story. There was a guy named Nat that was a lumberman in Eugene. He was also an avid golfer in the early 40s. He was trying to find a property just outside of Eugene that would be a great place to build a 9-hole golf course. And so he had a piece of property out there with a cabin. He'd frequent Mackenzie Bridge pretty often, and then eventually purchased a parcel of land that he was able to then start building in 1962. And so Tokatee is probably it is the true hidden gem of Oregon. I mean, the actual construction was finished in 1966 for the front 9, and then 69 the other 9 was completed as well. And I mean, I don't know how to explain it to people, but this course it offers everything that we look for as municipals in a public golf course. It's relatively affordable. You're looking anywhere between $65 and $85, depending if you're riding or walking, what time of day you're going to be playing at it. It's challenging to a point where you're not going to feel like you're just going to be hitting driver wedge or wood wedge throughout the entire day. There are a ton of challenging dog legs. Basically, the course was built in a wide open prairie that weaves in and out of very thick Oregon pines. And you could tell certain holes were just laid out for them. And then certain holes were needing to be carved out of the pines and had a lot of clearing. I won't go too crazy into this because, again, go back and listen to the to the Oregon golf trip that I did with our buddies Brandon, Bradley, and Kenny. There's a full episode that we did where we went in depth on Bar Run and Tokatee and Laurelwood. So go back, listen to those. It's worth a listen, but this is by far top 10. If it is my personal favorite in Oregon. So you got to check this place out. Next one would be Aspen Lakes in Sisters, Oregon. So anywhere between $60 and $95 to play this. I think their big claim to fame is the unique red sand bunkers that they have out there. It is a look that you're not going to see across the landscape of golf. And the only reason that they do have the red sand bunkers is because it was too expensive to bring in the sand that everybody in Oregon brings in from Idaho. The really white, fluffy sand that everybody's used to at the higher end courses out here. So they were able to find this sand locally on their property, and they've been utilizing it ever since, and it's kind of a staple of what brings people out there, what people remember. It's truly its own unique look. It also has incredible views of the Sisters Mountains from all parts of the golf course, especially if you play it in the spring, coming into the beginning of summer. You still have the mountains capped with snow. It is just by far one of the more picturesque golf courses that you're going to play in Oregon. First 9 holes were built in 96 by William Overdorf. World-class architect. Look him up. I mean, the guy has designed a absolute ton of golf courses. The second 9 opened in 2000. So it's not an old golf course. It's been around, going on 25 years now. They're about to celebrate their 25th anniversary. But they also have future plans to convert it to a resort. So I caught this, got it on the list before it's a full resort. They still don't have full facilities to create this as a resort, but their plan is to get there. So as of right now, it's still just a regular public, privately owned public golf course, not in the Bend, Redmond, resort-esque things. Sisters is, just a little bit outside of Bend, Redmond. But it's a great place to stop on your way into Bend or Redmond. Great place to play around before you're staying over a weekend or spending a week in that area. Must play. Aspen Lakes. Gotta get that guy on your list if you haven't played that guy before. Now to one that I just stumbled across. I think this course is awesome. I don't hear anybody ever talk about it. It's got a cool history behind it. This would be Diamond Woods in Monroe, Oregon. So this isn't too far from my house in Salem. You're talking about 45, 50-minute drive. It's a full-on championship-style course, tipping at over 7,000 yards. It has a little bit of features of everything across the Pacific Northwest that I talked about. You've got tree-lined holes. You've got your prairie land open style golf more on the front nine. The back nine gets a lot more tight. It goes up and down throughout this mountainside hill. It's just a really, really cool design that is probably one of the more affordable championship style golf courses that you'd be able to come across. It has held multiple qualifiers for the Nationwide Tour. That was before it was the Korn Ferry Tour. Webb Simpson shot a 64 out there during qualifier, which was too shy of the course record, which was held by Matt Jones, who did it a few years earlier, also in a nationwide qualifier. So the course has some prominence. It has some, history behind it. The front and back nine give you completely different tests. I think that's one of the coolest things about it is you're getting kind of a massive changeover when you switch nines, and you can play really well on the front or you can play really well on the back depending on the style of golf you like to play. If you're a person that likes to pick spots and hit it, you'll probably play better on the back. Front nine allows you to be a little bit more bomb and gouge. Really take the big stick out and wail on it. Greens are immaculate. The landscaping out there, it's a built family-owned operation. That's one of my favorite things about it is that it's not necessarily like built by the largest architect or built by the most well-renowned person. It was built by a guy that just had a dream. Him and his family run and operate it. It is such a cool course. I would expect anybody to have a good time out there and experience it. And it's not far from Salem or Portland. A little bit out of your way from Portland, but if you're going to drive down to Bar Run from Portland, Diamond Woods would be another really good course to tack on to the repertoire to go out and play. I would definitely highly recommend that guy. And then I've got a few honorable mentions that didn't make my top 10, but I think are really great courses. Salmon Run in Brookings, Oregon. It is the furthest south golf course that you can get on the coast of Oregon before you enter into California. Really fun course. The only reason I didn't include these two courses on my top 10 is because of length. When you get guys that hit ball a lot further, like Ashton or JD, these courses end up being a little bit more mundane for them, a little bit easier because, outside of some of the quarters being a little tight and you have to hit specific shots, both of these courses that I'm going to talk about are just a little short. Like Salmon Creek only tips out to about 6,000 yards. So for someone like Ashton, him going out there, it might be really fun to have some gettable par fours that he can get off the tee. But most of the time, it's going to be a lot of irons off the tee, a lot of hybrids, maybe some 3-woods just to hit some dog legs. But Salmon Run is always in good condition. It's a great price point. If you're driving up Highway 1, doing kind of a coastal trip, I would tell you Salmon Run would be somewhere I would tell you to stop. And then one that's been documented heavily, and Ryan O'Meara has really turned this place around and created a safe haven for all golfers in Portland, and that would be Wildwood. We've talked about Wildwood multiple times. No Laying Up also has this in their Oregon travel series and tourist sauce. So if you want some more in-depth look inside Wildwood, I would definitely check them out. Also give them a follow on Instagram. Ryan puts up some cool stuff. He might have the best merch in golf. Just to be 100% honest, like him and then Matty Brown out at Highlands and Manzanita, those two guys get it when it comes to what golfers want. And if there's people visiting from outside or have never even played it, they sell so much product for guys that don't even live in the area, just buying on their merch website. So, I mean, that's how good they do the merch side, and their courses are equally as good. In Wildwood, the only reason it didn't make the top 10, it tips out under 6,000. And again, there's just, it's a fun, cool design course with massive undulation changes. The maintenance crew out there, shout out Merkin and his crew, really have dialed this place in and created, like I said, a haven for golfers that just want quick rounds at affordable prices. Wildwood's going to give it to you. So there's my top 10 with 2 honorable mentions. I hope you guys love this episode. I'm going to do this series for California and then also for Washington. And again, this is my opinion. There's nothing behind this. I'm not using other people's course ratings. I'm not using, different lists. These are just based off the courses that I play that left deep memories in my brain after I walked off these courses, and that I have came back to frequent multiple times. The only other course that I forgot to mention that I didn't put on here is Buffalo Peak. So Buffalo Peak is in my top 10. I apologize. I thought it was on my list here. I left it out. Sorry, Buffalo Peak. This is in Union, Oregon. Buffalo Peak is probably one of the most spectacular views on any golf course that you're going to get across the entire Oregon landscape. This is as far east as you can really get in Oregon. You're almost to Idaho at this point, but it overlooks multiple mountain ranges. It's in an entire open prairie, natural fescue landscape. If you ever go onto their website and see the overviews, it kind of reminds me of Spanos a little bit in Stockton, California, mixed with a little bit of metropolitan in the Bay Area. Smack dab in this beautiful, beautiful open prairie landscape of Oregon. They have hosted multiple U.S. Or Oregon AMs. It looks like they're going to be hosting some more in the future. It's probably the bet outside of Diamond Woods. It's the biggest hidden gem in all of Oregon, bar none. And it's very difficult to get to. You're 6.5 hours from Portland, about 6 hours from Salem. So it is nowhere near close to anything in the state. There's not a lot out there either, but if you're wanting to take an adventure, take a little bit of a extra drive to somewhere that you might not have ever experienced or reached out to, I would definitely tell you it is a place to go see, because it gives you views of the Grand Renande Valley and the Wallowa and Blue Mountain Ranges. This place is just spectacular. They claim it as link style golf. I call it prairie golf. I think the link style is too overused. But it's a William Phillips design. It's awesome. So that was one. I'm sorry I didn't write down here. It's on my top 10. It is in the top 10, not in the honorable mentions. But Buffalo Peak is how I'm going to end this. I hope you guys loved it. I'm going to continue doing this, and so tune in. We're gonna do some more of these states, and the more travel I do, the more states I hope that I get to frequent and play more golf in and do more of these total state reviews. So, all right, fellas, Big C out. Sorry for the voice for this, but I wanted to get on and get this going. Thanks, guys.